Yep. I'm going to react to the weekly news. I don't know if I'm going to use these people again, but this is the only one I can find that's legit of top US and world headings, June 2nd, 2025. The down below in the description, but this is Democracy Now! So let's have a gander.
Welcome to Democracy Now! Democracy launched 117 drones in an unprecedented attack.
Whoa, hold up.
Military bases as far.
I also have no clue if they're left wing, right wing, or whatever. So probably right.
The attack reportedly damaged or destroyed about 40 Russian warplanes, about a third of Russia's strategic missile bombers that are capable of carrying cruise and nuclear missiles. The strikes reportedly resulted in an estimated $7 billion worth of damages. Some commentators in Moscow have described the attack as Russia's Pearl Harbor. The Ukrainian drones had been reportedly smuggled into Russia, hidden inside containers on long-haul trucks. The attack came a day after Russia launched its largest.
I think this is called Operation Spiderweb. Like, it's actually insane. It's a Trojan horse that Russian truck drivers were driving in without knowing. Ukrainian drones were at top of it, and they ended up destroying like 50 bombers or 40 bombers that cost them billions.
On Ukraine since the start of the war. On Sunday, Russia also struck a Ukrainian military training base, killing at least 12 soldiers and injuring 60 others. Health officials and witnesses in Gaza say at least 31 people.
So moving from Gaza, it's very static. That was insane by Ukraine to do that. But it does show Russian intelligence services may be lacking, how they're able to just do that. But let me know down below what you think is more impressive, the Israelis with the phones or the Ukrainians with the drones on the ships, not on ships, on the trucks. They're both insanely impressive.
Were killed Sunday when Israeli forces opened fire on crowds headed to an Israeli-controlled aid distribution point near Rafah. Over 170 people were wounded.
You know what I find interesting about the Israel-Palestine war? Israel uses the guys that they invaded, which they give all props to Israel to actually countering the invasion at the beginning. That was justified. But they bring on about, like, let's say 1,000 innocents died, unfortunately. There's also reports that they passed something where that Israelis can't. It's meant to be Israeli soldiers, but they can be palmed onto Israeli citizens. That they can open fire so they don't be taken hostage, which is insane. So supposedly that happened to civilians. Israelis were shooting at Israeli civilians so they don't get captured. But if it's 1,000 Israeli civilians that passed away, or not passed away, but got murdered by Hamas. How many innocent civilians have died in this war? When does it get to the point that the original point is kind of null and void now?
Israel denied responsibility. This is a Palestinian woman named Asma Abu Salah.
That doesn't look like a woman.
Hospital room next to her brother-in-law, who'd just been shot.
Oh, I should make a joke.
You can see his condition. He's between life and death. He went for food and drinks for his children. His children need food.
No, I would say that's terrible.
On Earth, and accused Israel of, quote, drip feeding food into an area on the verge of catastrophic hunger.
You also see, like, Israel making settlements in the land they've taken over. It's just, you just can't, like, would you be surprised if it came out that Israel actually knew Hamas was attacking and it was just a ploy to actually invade Gaza? Like, you wouldn't be surprised if Israel did that. But it's
Israel's
insane. We're just letting them do it and giving them aid.
Facilities and doctors in Gaza. Earlier today, Israel destroyed the
Then we're just
only
hypocrites.
facility for kidney dialysis patients in northern Gaza. Dropsite News is reporting an Israeli attack killed Dr. Aya Al-Madoun, who was 9 months pregnant. The attack near Al-Aqsa Hospital in Deir al-Balah also killed her husband.
What the hell?
A funeral was held Sunday for Dr. Hamdi
So this wiped out a generation of a family and plus a new generation. It's
al-Najjar, who died from injuries from an Israeli attack last week that also killed 9 of his children. This all comes as negotiations continue over a possible ceasefire.
How is it justified to continue in this war? What?
Over the weekend, Hamas
9 children were killed. Fucking hell.
by U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff. Hamas is offering to release 10 living hostages and 18 bodies in return for Israel's release of Palestinian prisoners. Hamas
How many?
is also seeking a complete end to Israel's attacks and withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. But Witkoff has called Hamas's response, quote, totally unacceptable. We'll get response to this all in.
The issue is America has to stand by Israel. They just have to. In the Middle East, it's they don't want to lose control with China and Russia interference within the Middle East. And who do they have now? They kind of have Syria, Israel. Is Egypt kind of all right with them? Saudi Arabia, the UAE. And so it's really the fact that Syria is kind of turned into the US after Assad's fall. It's kind of worrying for Russia, China interference, as well as Iran.
Later in the broadcast,
Iran, I can't even walk. But it's insane.
Using a makeshift flamethrower and another incendiary device to attack
Elon Musk.
People taking part in a weekly walk to honor Israeli hostages in Gaza. 8 people were injured with burns. 2 of the victims were flown to a burn.
You're just going to make the war be pushed on even further.
Unit in a rural the victims
have that for free.
52 58-year-old Holocaust survivor.
Oh my God, for fuck's sake.
Boulder's courthouse Sunday. The FBI said the attack is being investigated as an act of terrorism.
This attack happened at a regularly scheduled weekly peaceful event. Witnesses are reporting that the subject used a makeshift flamethrower and threw an incendiary device into the crowd. The suspect was heard to yell, "Free Palestine," during the attack. The subject has been identified as Mohammed Sabri Solomon, and he's 45 years old.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled Friday that...
Are you surprised, though? Like, rest in peace to the innocents that died there. They don't deserve it. But are you surprised that people are going to react like that? I'm surprised there hasn't been more attacks globally with people supporting Palestine, to be honest with you, but violence shouldn't happen anywhere.
The Trump administration can strip for now temporary legal protections for 500,000
Was this about ICE?
Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, who'd been granted protection by the Biden administration.
Is that the Lincoln Steps?
Supreme Court's ruling is
or is that just Supreme Court, is it?
As lower courts consider the legality of Trump's move. Justices Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor dissented. Justice Jackson said, quote, "The court is now apparently determined that it's in the public's interest to have the lives of 500,000 migrants unravel all around us before the courts decide their legal claims," unquote. In other legal news, a federal judge in San Francisco has blocked the Trump administration from revoking the temporary protected status of roughly 5,000 Venezuelans who are in the United States. In San Diego, California, over 20 armed and masked ICE agents in full tactical gear raided a popular restaurant Friday. The agents handcuffed the staff, demanded IDs, then arrested at least 3 workers. Local residents reacted angrily to the raid and attempted to block ICE vehicles from leaving the scene. ICE agents responded by throwing flashbang smoke grenades at the crowd.
Flashbang out.
In Milford, Massachusetts, hundreds of community members rallied Sunday in support of Marcelo Gomez, an 18-year-old high school student who was detained by ICE while he was on his way to volleyball practice. Gomez, who was born in Brazil, had lived in the Milford area since he was 5 years old.
Men do volleyball? What?
He was also a member of the school band and was scheduled to perform at his school's graduation ceremony Sunday. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey condemned his arrest, saying, quote, "The Trump administration continues to create fear in our communities." Its Governor
No one is illegal on stolen land.
Healey condemned his arrest, saying, quote, "The Trump administration continues to create fear in our communities, and it's making us all less safe," she said. In Nigeria, severe...
Yeah, but if they come illegally, you can't just break the law as soon as you enter America from another country and expect to stay. Yes, I can look at it from a human side, like, he's going to school, he's not doing anything bad. And I do sympathize with those people that actually are hardworking people, and they should. If they haven't committed a crime, they can get reports from schools. without interference of bias, like looking at actual reports from beforehand to see if they've behaved, going to school, if they've worked, looking at reports of their working places, etc. And like everyone's like, no, they're absolutely amazing. I think they should stay then. I do think they should stay. But then that's on a human side. But on a legal side, it's like you've broken a law. You can't just stay in the country when you've broken a law. It's illegal to do so. So it's a bit, I prefer the human side.
Has killed at least 200 people, wiping out homes
Was it a flood?
and businesses in the bustling market town of Mokwa. This is resident Adamu Yusuf.
Are we going to get any positive news?
I have 15 family members in my household. Unfortunately, 9 of them have died in the flood.
Oh my God.
8 are still missing. Only 1 body has been recovered.
What?
And our house was completely
Hold on a minute. Let me just put a mic on you here and you can...
washed away.
Bloody hell.
Currently
Are these cameramen going to help him?
standing in the spot where my room used to be.
Oh.
I've lost everything. My wife, mother, children, and other relatives are all missing. The flood has taken everything from us.
Hundreds remain missing as of Sunday as rescue missions continue. Nigeria is prone to heavy rains and floods, but their magnitude has increased with the climate crisis. In Poland, the Trump-backed nationalist candidate...
See, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't listen to that. That person's worst day of their life, and... Yeah. No. This is about Poland.
Presidential runoff election, narrowly beating out his rival, the liberal mayor of Warsaw. Nawrocki could clash with Poland's liberal government, led by
Who's he, right wing?
Donald Tusk, including on social issues and Ukraine. A Guatemalan court sentenced 3 former paramilitaries each to 40 years in prison for crimes against humanity for raping 6 indigenous Maya-Achi women between 1981 and 83 at the height of Guatemala's bloody U.S.-backed war and genocide. This is survivor Paulina Ixpata.
Of course the U.S. is there.
The sentence was announced.
I feel very good because we achieved justice, because we are not lying. We lived through it. Not just me, other women too. There are other women who are no longer with us. They died. They didn't have the opportunity to see this justice, but we also hope that we get dignified reparations because it is a government obligation.
This is Venezuela. You ain't getting any reparations, unfortunately.
Trial in 2022 convicted 5 other paramilitaries for raping Maya-Achi women. At least 36 Maya-Achi survivors have come forward to accuse U.S.-funded paramilitaries and soldiers of rape. 29 survivors are still alive, including those in this most recent case. Leila Sueif, the mother of...
Sad. It's all fucking sad. What the hell?
Alaa Abdel Fattah, was hospitalized Friday after 242 days on hunger strike, with doctors warning she's at risk of sudden death if her blood sugar drops any further. The 69-year-old professor has lost over 40% of her body weight since starting her strike to protest her son's continued detention in Egypt and the failure of the British government to secure his
Well, then what are we doing?
Pledging its commitment to freedom.
Donkey, what are you doing?
Last week, a UN working group concluded Egypt's imprisonment of Fattah is arbitrary and illegal under international law.
So then do something about it.
Released. He spent most of the past decade behind bars over his human rights advocacy. In the United
10 years. He's in prison for 10 years and we haven't done anything. This country is absolutely shit. They've established it is illegal. Get him out. Egypt is nothing compared to United Kingdom. No offense to Egypt, but you're nothing compared to United Kingdom and our allies. Why are we not getting this guy out? Get him out. Show some power. What is, like, if this was Keir Starmer's son, you think that guy would be there for 10 years? No. Insane.
States, Iowa Republican Senator Joni Ernst is facing intense criticism over her comments on Republican plans to slash spending on Medicaid while giving major tax breaks to the rich. During a town hall Friday, a member of the audience yelled out Medicaid cuts would result in people dying. Ernst responded by saying, quote, "We all are going to die."
People are not, well, we all are going to die.
Mic drop, liberal owned. No. It's all fine and dandy. It's all fine and dandy when your whole job is you're sat there talking on stage and getting a load of money from it and endorsements from people. These people literally need Medicare to get any form of basic human rights. It's a necessity, not a luxury, medical care.
On Saturday, Senator Ernst doubled down on her remarks by posting a sarcastic video.
Is that like a French flag?
Recorded at a cemetery.
Is that a French flag?
I made an incorrect assumption that everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the Tooth Fairy as well.
PBS and a northern Minnesota public television station.
How is she in any position of power? What a silly bitch. Whoops.
Lawsuit against the Trump administration Friday over Trump's order withdrawing federal funding from the 330-station public television system. Earlier last week, NPR filed a similar lawsuit. Both NPR and PBS are challenging Trump's claims of anti-conservative bias. This comes as The Intercept reports PBS station WNET has removed at least 3 episodes of the show Let's Learn that featured a drag artist and a transgender character and that discussed trans identity. In March, right-wing Republicans attacked PBS during a heated congressional testimony for featuring drag performers on its shows. A group
Well, that looks like a kid's show, so it shouldn't have that. It shouldn't have any religious or anything like that. It should literally be maths, some adventure, colouring. Yeah.
Four activists have set sail from a Sicilian port in Italy carrying...
I've never heard of that show.
The Freedom Flotilla Coalition.
So I think this is going to be about the tweet about Greta Grunberg. Oh, I don't even know her name.
Had initially planned
Greta Thunberg, Greta Grunberg.
But the group ship was damaged in a drone attack.
By Israel.
Passengers on board the flotilla include the Swedish activist Greta Thunberg.
A month after.
Good. I heard reports that she wasn't on it and it sunk. Maybe it was a different ship.
To go on with this mission, the boat was bombed twice. All evidence suggests Israel. And we are doing this because we have to keep our promise to the Palestinians to do everything in our power to protest against the genocide.
I wonder how much money she's got.
A humanitarian corridor.
We're all doing all this.
Passengers on the flotilla,
like all together,
including from U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham, who wrote on X, quote, "Hope Greta and her friends can swim," unquote. And Chilean President Gabriel Boric has voiced support for an arms embargo on Israel and a ban on imports from, quote, illegally. Joni Ernst is facing Senator Joni Ernst.
Wrong one. Oh, fuck me.
Many hope on Israel and a ban on imports from. Boric has voiced support for an arms embargo on Israel and a ban on imports from, quote, illegally occupied territories, unquote. He made the remarks in his State of the Union address.
These principles have led me to raise the voice against the genocide and ethnic cleansing that the government of Israel is committing against.
He's about to get sanctions by America.
Chile is home to the largest Palestinian population outside the Middle East. And those are the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
Thanks, Amy Goodman.
Democracy Now! is...
That was like a very early 2000s, 1990s way of doing it, and the editing and everything like that. There was not really one single good news. Maybe Chile. But there wasn't any happy news. Yeah, it makes you wonder. Bye.